The Friday night dinner rush at Vesper was in full swing when I delivered the check to table 12. The man sitting alone had been nursing a single glass of vodka for the past 2 hours, his presence somehow commanding attention despite his stillness. I'd noticed him the moment he walked in. It was impossible not to. Tall, easily over 6 feet, with dark hair swept back from a face that belonged on a movie screen. Sharp cheekbones, a jaw that could cut glass, and eyes so pale blue they seemed almost colorless in the dim restaurant lighting. He wore a black suit that screamed money, custom-tailored to his broad shoulders. "Your check, sir," I said, placing the leather folder on the white tablecloth. "There's no rush. Take your time." He didn't respond immediately. Those pale eyes studied me with an intensity that made my skin prickle. Finally, he pulled out a black credit card and slid it into the folder without looking at the bill. "What's your name?" His voice was deep, accented with something Eastern European. "Russian, maybe." "Maya," I replied, keeping my professional smile in place. "I'll process this right away." At the server station, Sarah leaned over as I ran the card. "That's Roman Petrov. Do you know who that is?" I shook my head, printing the receipt. "He owns half the commercial real estate downtown, and according to rumors, his family has connections. The kind that make people nervous." She lowered her voice. "Be careful with him, Maya. Men like that are dangerous." I returned to table 12 with the receipt, my heart beating slightly faster. Roman Petrov signed with a flourish, then pulled out a pen and wrote something on the merchant copy before sliding the folder back to me. "Have a good evening, Maya," he said, his accent making my name sound exotic. "You too, sir. Thank you for dining with us." I didn't look at the receipt until I was back at the station. When I did, my knees nearly gave out. The tip line read, $50,000, $50,000. My hands shook as I stared at the number. This had to be a mistake. People didn't leave tips like that. Not for a glass of vodka and 2 hours of table space. But it was the note written on the customer copy that made my blood run cold. "Dinner tomorrow. 8 p.m. Giordano's. This is not a request." "RP, holy shit," Sarah breathed, looking over my shoulder. "Maya, I know what it is." My voice came out strangled. "This is insane. I can't accept this. Are you crazy? That's $50,000. With strings attached." I held up the note. "He's summoning me to dinner like I'm some kind of..." I couldn't finish the sentence. David, our manager, materialized beside us. "Problem, ladies?" I showed him the receipt. His eyes widened comically. "Is this real?" "I don't know. Maybe it's a mistake. Should I chase him down?" But when I looked toward table 12, Roman Petrov was gone. The table was empty, the vodka glass still half full, and somehow the air felt thinner without his presence. "Process it," David said decisively. "If it goes through, it's legitimate. If he has an issue, he can contact us." The charge went through without a problem. $50,000 appeared in the pending tips on my screen, real as anything I'd ever seen. I stood there, staring at the number, my mind racing. With $50,000, I could pay off my father's gambling debts, the loan sharks who'd been calling, threatening, leaving messages that made my hands shake. I could make them disappear. I could breathe for the first time in months. But at what cost? The note burned in my pocket as I finished my shift. Not a request. What did that mean? What happened if I didn't show up? At home in my tiny studio apartment, I sat on my second-hand couch and called the one person I trusted for advice. "Dad, something happened at work." "Maya, honey, if this is about the money..." "It's not." "Well, it is, but..." I took a breath. A customer left me a $50,000 tip. Silence. Then, "What?" I explained the situation, leaving out the part about Roman Petrov's reputation. My father didn't need to know I might be getting involved with someone dangerous. "That's incredible, baby. With that money, I can pay off Dmitri and his guys. We'd be free. Dad, he wants something in return. A dinner. Tomorrow night. So have dinner with him. Maya, this could solve everything. Or it could make things worse." After we hung up, I pulled out my laptop and did what I should have done immediately. I Googled Roman Petrov. What I found made my stomach sink. Roman Petrov, 37, Russian-American businessman and heir to the Petrov family empire. Real estate, shipping, import-export. But buried in the articles, in the spaces between the legitimate business ventures, were hints of something darker. Federal investigations that went nowhere, business rivals who disappeared, connections to the Bratva, the Russian mafia. I was still staring at the screen when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I hope you're not thinking of refusing. That would be unwise. Sweet dreams, Maya. RP. My hands shook as I read the message. How did he have my number? I'd never given it to him. Another text followed immediately. The money is yours regardless of your decision. But I'd very much like to have dinner with you. I promise I'm more civilized than my reputation suggests. And then a third, Giordano's, 8 p.m. A car will pick you up at 7:30. Your address is 847 Morrison Street, Apt 4B, correct? Ice flooded my veins. He knew where I lived. I should have been terrified. Should have called the police, blocked his number, refused to engage. Instead, I found myself typing, "How did you get my information?" His response was immediate. I make it my business to know things, especially when something interests me, and I interest you very much, which is why I'm willing to pay $50,000 for the pleasure of your company. That's not a tip. That's a bribe. Call it what you like. The money is yours. The dinner is my request. You're free to refuse, of course, though I'd be disappointed. I stared at the message, my heart pounding. Free to refuse. Was I, though? Men who knew your address, who had that kind of money and power, who casually dropped $50,000. Were they the kind of men who accepted refusal? What do you want from me? Conversation. Your time. The pleasure of getting to know you better. Why me? Because when you served me tonight, you didn't flinch. Didn't stare. Didn't treat me like a curiosity or a threat. You treated me like a man who wanted a drink. That's rare in my world. Despite everything, I felt something in my chest soften slightly. There was a loneliness in those words that resonated with my own. I don't know anything about your world. Good. That makes you refreshing. So tomorrow night, 8 p.m., will you come? I should say no. Should block his number, return the money somehow, pretend this never happened. Instead, I thought about my father's voice, tired and defeated, about the loan sharks and their threats, about the life I'd been living, scraping by on server wages and praying nothing went wrong because I had no safety net. $50,000 could change everything. I'll be there. I typed before I could change my mind. Good. Wear something beautiful, though I suspect you'd be beautiful in anything. This doesn't mean, it means you're having dinner with me. Nothing more, nothing less. Unless you want it to mean more, of course. I don't. We'll see. Good night, Maya Torres. He knew my last name. Of course he did. He probably knew everything about me by now. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, unable to sleep. What had I just agreed to? Dinner with a man who might be a criminal, who'd tracked down my personal information, who'd casually spent $50,000 like it was pocket change. But there was something else, too. Something I didn't want to acknowledge. When Roman Petrov had looked at me with those pale blue eyes, I'd felt seen, really seen, not as a server or a struggling 25-year-old drowning in her father's debts, but as someone worth noticing. That feeling was almost as dangerous as the man himself. The next day crawled by. I called in sick to my shift at Vesper. The irony of using my one sick day to prepare for a date with a customer wasn't lost on me, and spent the afternoon in a state of nervous energy. I had nothing to wear. My closet was full of server uniforms and thrift store finds, nothing that qualified as something beautiful for dinner at Giordano's. At 4 o'clock, there was a knock at my door. A delivery woman stood there with 3 garment bags and several boxes. Maya Torres? Yes? Delivery from Mr. Petrov. She was gone before I could refuse them. Inside were 3 dresses, each more stunning than the last, along with shoes, jewelry, and a note in that same bold handwriting, choose whichever you like. Or none of them if you prefer. But I hope you'll accept this gift in the spirit it's intended. I'd like you to feel as beautiful as I know you are. RP, I should have sent them back. Should have worn my own clothes, maintained some independence. But when I tried on the midnight blue silk dress, the one that hugged my curves and made me look like someone who belonged in places like Giordano's, I couldn't help but feel transformed. At exactly 7:30, my phone buzzed. The car is downstairs. I took one last look in the mirror. The woman staring back was a stranger. Elegant. Sophisticated. Someone who could walk into a restaurant on Roman Petrov's arm without looking out of place. The lie was perfect. Now I just had to survive the evening without losing myself in it. The car waiting for me wasn't what I expected. Not a limousine or something ostentatious, but a sleek black Mercedes sedan with tinted windows. The driver, a man in his 40s with the build of a professional boxer, opened the back door without a word. "Miss Torres," he said with a slight accent. "I'm Victor. Mr. Petrov sent me." I slid into the leather interior, my heart hammering. The door closed with a solid thunk that felt uncomfortably final. The drive to Giordano's took 20 minutes through downtown traffic. Victor didn't attempt conversation, and I was grateful. My mind was too busy spiraling through worst-case scenarios to make small talk. What if this was a trap? What if Roman Petrov wasn't interested in dinner, but in something far more sinister? I'd read the articles. I knew what people suspected about him, but I'd also taken his money. $50,000 that had already been transferred to my account, that I'd already used to make a payment to Dmitri, buying my father another month of breathing room. The car pulled up to Giordano's main entrance. Through the windows, I could see the restaurant was packed with the usual Friday night crowd. Victor opened my door, and I stepped out onto the sidewalk, very aware of the looks I was getting in my midnight blue dress. "Mr. Petrov is waiting," Victor said, gesturing toward the entrance. But instead of the main dining room, he led me past the hostess stand to a private elevator I'd never noticed before. My stomach dropped as the doors closed and we began ascending. Where are we going? The penthouse. Mr. Petrov reserved it for the evening. Of course he had. Because having dinner in a crowded restaurant like normal people would be too simple. The elevator opened directly into a stunning space. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, the lights twinkling like stars below. A single table was set near the windows, candles flickering in crystal holders, and standing by the window, his back to me, was Roman Petrov. He turned as the elevator doors closed behind me, and the air left my lungs. If he'd been striking in the dim lighting of Vesper, he was devastating here. The black suit had been replaced by charcoal slacks and a white dress shirt with the sleeves rolled up, revealing muscular forearms. His dark hair was slightly disheveled, like he'd been running his hands through it. Those pale blue eyes locked onto me immediately. Maya. My name and his accented voice sent an involuntary shiver down my spine. "You look breathtaking. Thank you for the dress. You didn't have to. I wanted to." He moved toward me with a predator's grace. "And I'm pleased you chose that one. The color suits you." Up close, I could see details I'd missed before. A small scar above his left eyebrow. The way his eyes weren't quite colorless, but held flecks of gray. The subtle scent of his cologne. Something expensive and woodsy. "Would you like a drink?" he asked, gesturing toward a bar cart. "Just water, please. Still or sparkling?" "Still is fine." He poured 2 glasses, adding ice and a slice of lemon to mine without asking. Somehow he already knew how I liked it. "Please, sit." He pulled out a chair at the table. I sat, hyper-aware of how intimate this felt. Just the two of us, high above the city, candlelight casting shadows across his angular face. "I should start by apologizing," Roman said, taking the seat across from me. "My approach last night was unorthodox. That's one word for it. Coercive would be another." His lips curved slightly. "You're direct. I like that. I'm terrified, actually. But I figure if you wanted to hurt me, you wouldn't go to this much trouble." "You're right. I wouldn't." His expression sobered. "I understand my reputation precedes me, that you've probably looked me up, read the articles, seen the speculation about my family's business. Are they true? The things they say about you? Some of them. Not all." He took a sip of his water. "My family's business is complicated. There are elements that operate in gray areas, but I'm not the monster the tabloids paint me as." "Then why the $50,000? Why track down my information? Why—" I gestured at the penthouse, the dress, everything. "Why all of this?" "Because the moment you walked up to my table, something shifted." He leaned forward, his gaze intense. "I've had hundreds of servers. They all look at me the same way. Fear, curiosity, calculation. wondering what they can get from me, but you? You looked at me like I was just another customer who wanted a drink, like I was normal. You're not normal. No, I'm not. But for those 2 hours, sitting in your section, I felt like I could be. His voice dropped lower. Do you have any idea how rare that is for someone like me? Despite myself, I felt something soften in my chest. There was genuine loneliness in his words, a vulnerability he was letting me see. That doesn't explain the money. The money is because I can afford it, and you need it. Your father owes Dmitry Volkov $60,000. You've been working double shifts trying to keep up with the interest payments. You're drowning, Maya. I'm offering you a life raft. My blood ran cold. How do you know about my father? I told you. I make it my business to know things. He must have seen something in my expression because he added, Dmitry works for me. All his operations, all his debts, they ultimately answer to me. The room tilted. You own my father's debt. Not directly, but yes, essentially. Roman's expression didn't change, which means I can make it disappear. All of it. Consider it done. Just like that? Just like that. And what do you want in return? Your company. Your time. He paused. Your trust eventually. That's it? You're going to forgive $60,000 for dinner and conversation? I'm worth approximately $2.3 billion, Maya. $60,000 is what I spend on a decent bottle of wine. It's nothing to me. But your peace of mind, your freedom from that burden, that's worth something. I stared at him, trying to process this. This is insane, perhaps. But it's also real. The debt is gone. Your father is free. You're free. He reached across the table, not quite touching my hand, but close enough that I could feel the heat of his skin. Now we can get to know each other without that hanging over your head. You manipulated this entire situation. I created an opportunity. There's a difference. Before I could respond, a door opened and staff appeared with the first course. The food was incredible. Each dish a work of art. Flavors I couldn't identify, but that melted on my tongue. Roman watched me eat with obvious pleasure. Tell me about yourself, he said between courses, beyond what I could learn from a background check. What do you want to know? Everything. What makes you happy? What do you dream about? I shouldn't have answered. Should have maintained some distance, some self-preservation, but something about the way he looked at me, with genuine interest rather than calculation, made the words spill out. I told him about wanting to go to culinary school, but not being able to afford it. About my mother who died when I was 12. About how I'd taken care of my father, even as he spiraled into gambling addiction. About dreams of opening my own restaurant someday. Something small and intimate where I could create. Roman listened to everything, asking questions, seeming genuinely interested in my answers. And slowly I realized something dangerous was happening. I was starting to like him. Not just attracted to him, though God knew he was devastating to look at, but actually liking him as a person. The way he listened. The way he saw through my defenses to the hopes I kept hidden. The way he made me feel like I mattered. What about you? I asked during dessert. Who is Roman Petrov when he's not being a mysterious billionaire? Something flickered in his eyes. That's a dangerous question. Why? Because if I answer honestly, you'll either run away or fall deeper into this. And I'm not sure which scares me more. Try me. He was quiet for a long moment, studying me like he was making a decision. Finally, he spoke. I'm the oldest son of Mikhail Petrov. My father built an empire, but he built it with blood and violence and fear. I inherited that empire when I was 25. For 12 years, I've been trying to legitimize it, to wash the blood off our name. But there are things I can't escape. Things I've done that I'm not proud of. Like what? Like protecting what's mine with whatever means necessary. Like making examples of people who cross me. Like being the kind of man mothers warn their daughters about. His eyes held mine. I'm not a good man, Maya. I'm trying to be better, but my nature is what it is. Then why pursue me? If you're so dangerous, why drag me into your world? Because you make me want to be the man you see when you look at me. Not the reputation, not the empire, not the violence. Just Roman. A man who wants to have dinner with a beautiful woman and pretend, for one evening, that he's someone worth knowing. The vulnerability in his voice broke something in me. This wasn't manipulation. This was real pain, real loneliness. real longing for connection. "You're worth knowing," I said softly. His hand covered mine on the table, warm and solid. "Don't say that unless you mean it. Because if you give me hope, Maya, I won't be able to let you go." "Is that a threat?" "It's a warning." His thumb traced circles on my palm. "I'm possessive. Obsessive even. When I want something, I don't stop until it's mine. And I want you." I should have been frightened. Instead, I felt heat pool low in my stomach. "What if I don't want to be yours?" "Then I'll do everything in my power to change your mind. But I won't force you. I won't trap you. I'll just make it very difficult for you to imagine being anywhere else." We stared at each other across the candlelit table, the city glittering below us, the air thick with tension and promise and danger. "I should go home," I whispered. "You should. But you don't want to." He was right. God help me, he was right. "Roman, have dinner with me again. Tomorrow night, and the night after that. Let me court you properly. Let me show you who I can be for you." This is moving too fast. Life is short, Maya. I've learned that the hard way. When you find something worth fighting for, you don't waste time. And I'm worth fighting for? You're worth everything. He stood, moving around the table to pull out my chair. "Victor will take you home. But before you go..." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. Inside was a phone. "Top of the line, already set up. My number is programmed in. Call me anytime, day or night. And Maya, there's no tracking on this. No monitoring. I'm trusting you to want to talk to me, not forcing you to." I took the phone, our fingers brushing. The contact sent electricity up my arm. "Why are you doing all this?" "Because 12 years ago I stopped believing in anything good. Then you walked up to my table and treated me like a human being. And suddenly I remembered what hope feels like." He walked me to the elevator. Victor was already waiting downstairs. But before the doors closed, Roman leaned in close, his lips nearly brushing my ear. "Sweet dreams, Maya. I'll be thinking of you." The doors closed, and I was descending, my heart racing, my mind spinning. I'd just had dinner with one of the most dangerous men in the city, and I already couldn't wait to see him again. I didn't sleep that night. How could I? My mind kept replaying every moment of dinner. The way Roman had looked at me, the things he'd said, the heat in his pale blue eyes when he'd told me he wanted me. The phone he'd given me sat on my nightstand, silent, but somehow demanding attention. Around 3 a.m., it buzzed. "Are you awake?" My heart jumped. I should ignore it. Should establish boundaries before this thing between us consumed me completely. Instead, I typed, "Yes. I can't stop thinking about you. You saw me 3 hours ago. 3 hours too long." A pause then. "Did I scare you tonight?" With what I said, a little good. You should be scared. I meant every word. I stared at the message, my pulse racing. "Why me, Roman? You could have anyone, I don't want anyone. I want you, the woman who looked at me like I was human. The woman who's brave enough to have dinner with a monster. You're not a monster. You don't know that yet. But you will. And I'm terrified that when you do, you'll run." The vulnerability in his words made my chest ache. "I'm not running. Not yet. Yet, that word is going to haunt me. Then, have lunch with me tomorrow. Somewhere public if it makes you feel safer. A coffee shop. Your choice. Roman, I have to work. Call in sick. I can't just... Maya, I own Vesper." David answers to me. "Call in sick." I blinked at my phone. "You own Vesper?" "I own 12 restaurants in this city. Vesper is one of them. So yes, technically you work for me, which is why you can call in sick without consequences. This is insane. This is me trying to spend time with you. Say yes. I should have said no. Should have maintained some normalcy, some part of my life that wasn't being pulled into Roman Petrov's orbit. Yes, but somewhere public. And I choose the place, deal. Text me the address. I'll be there." I chose a small cafe 3 blocks from my apartment. Neutral territory, crowded enough to feel safe. Casual enough that we wouldn't attract attention. Roman arrived exactly on time, somehow managing to look both elegant and approachable in dark jeans and a gray sweater. Heads turned as he walked in. He was impossible not to notice. But he only had eyes for me. "You're wearing your own clothes today," he observed, sliding into the booth across from me. "I like it. Though I also like you in the dresses I sent. These feel more like me. And you want to remind yourself who you are, who you were before I complicated your life. It wasn't a question. He read me too easily, something like that. He ordered coffee, black, and we sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Around us, the cafe buzzed with Saturday morning activity. Students on laptops, couples sharing pastries, the hiss and grind of the espresso machine. "This is nice," Roman said finally. "Normal. Is that something you get much of? Normal?" "Never. My life is boardrooms and backroom deals and managing people who'd kill me if they thought they could get away with it." He took a sip of coffee. "This? Sitting in a cafe with a beautiful woman, pretending to be just another customer? It's the most normal I've felt in 12 years. Since you took over from your father. Since I stopped being Mikhail's son and became Roman Petrov, head of the Petrov Empire." His expression darkened. "My father was brutal, Maya. Effective but brutal. When I inherited, people expected me to be the same. Softer, they said, meant weaker. So you had to prove them wrong. I had to do things." He stopped, jaw tightening. "Things I can't take back. Things that ensured no one would ever question my authority again. Do you regret it?" "Every day. But I'd do it again if I had to. Because the alternative was watching everything my father built crumble. And all those deaths would have been for nothing." I reached across the table, covering his hand with mine. The gesture was instinctive, comforting. "You carry a lot of weight, I do, which is why being with you feels like breathing, like I can set it down for a moment and just be." We spent 3 hours in that cafe, talking about everything and nothing. He told me about growing up in Moscow, about his mother who still lived there, about learning English from American movies. I told him about my dreams of culinary school, about the restaurant I wanted to open someday. "What would you call it?" he asked. "I don't know. Something simple, personal." "Maya's." He said it like it was already real. "I'd eat there every night. You'd get bored of my cooking." Impossible. His eyes held mine. "Besides, I wouldn't be there for the food. I'd be there for you." Heat flooded my cheeks. "You can't just say things like that." "Why not?" "They're true." He signaled for the check, but I stopped him. "Let me pay. I want to buy you coffee." Something shifted in his expression. Surprise, pleasure, something deeper. "You want to buy me coffee?" "Yes. Is that a problem?" "No one's bought me anything in years. Everything is always provided, expected, transactional." He smiled, and it transformed his face from intimidating to breathtaking. "I'd be honored if you bought me coffee, Maya Torres." When we left the cafe, Roman's car was waiting. But instead of getting in, he turned to me. "Walk with me?" We walked through the neighborhood, his hands in his pockets, my arms wrapped around myself against the autumn chill. It should have felt strange, this powerful man strolling through my modest neighborhood like it was the most natural thing in the world. Instead, it felt right. "I have to go to a business dinner tonight," he said eventually. "Boring corporate merger discussion. Lots of posturing and expensive wine. Sounds thrilling. It's torture. But I'd like you to come with me." I stopped walking. "Roman, I can't go to a business dinner with you. I don't know anything about corporate. I don't need you there for business expertise. I need you there because spending 3 hours listening to men talk about profit margins without you, there might actually kill me." He turned to face me. "Please, I'll send a car, provide a dress, everything you need. Just come. I don't belong in that world. You belong wherever I say you belong, and I say you belong at my side." His hand came up to cup my face. "Let me show you off, Maya. Let me walk into that room with you on my arm and remind myself why I put up with all of it." The intensity in his gaze made it hard to breathe. "This is moving too fast. Then tell me to slow down. Tell me you need space, time, distance. I'll listen. I swear I'll listen." But I didn't want space. That was the terrifying part. 3 days ago, Roman Petrov was a stranger. Now, standing on the sidewalk with his hand on my face, I couldn't imagine not seeing him. "Okay," I whispered. "I'll come." His smile was blinding. "Thank you." He kissed my forehead. Chaste, gentle. But the contact sent electricity through my entire body. When he pulled back, his eyes had darkened. "I should go before I do something inappropriate on a public sidewalk." "Like what?" "Like kiss you properly. Like showing everyone watching that you're mine, His voice dropped to a rough whisper, like making it very clear that anyone who even thinks about touching you will answer to me. I'm not yours, Roman. Not yet. But you will be. It wasn't arrogance. It was certainty. The car will pick you up at 6. Wear the red dress. He was gone before I could argue, sliding into his car and disappearing into traffic. I stood there, my heart racing, my skin still tingling where he'd touched me. I was in so much trouble. That evening, I stood in front of my mirror wearing the red dress Roman had sent. It was stunning, crimson silk that hugged every curve, with a neckline that was daring without being inappropriate. With it came shoes, jewelry, even a small clutch. At exactly 6, Victor knocked on my door. Miss Torres. You look beautiful. Thank you, Victor. The drive to the restaurant was longer this time, taking us to the waterfront where an exclusive private club overlooked the bay. Victor escorted me inside, through a lobby that screamed old money and power, to a private dining room where 20 people in expensive clothing mingled with champagne glasses. And there, in the center of it all, was Roman. He saw me immediately, excusing himself from his conversation and crossing the room with purpose. His eyes traveled over me, heat and possession warring in their pale blue depths. Breathtaking, he murmured, taking my hand and bringing it to his lips. Thank you for coming. Did I have a choice? Always. You always have a choice with me, Maya. He tucked my hand into the crook of his elbow. Come, let me introduce you to people who will bore you to tears. The next 2 hours were surreal. Roman introduced me as my Maya, a possessive that should have annoyed me but instead sent a thrill down my spine. Business associates assessed me with various degrees of curiosity and calculation. Women looked at me with envy or disdain, clearly wondering how a nobody had captured Roman Petrov's attention. Through it all, Roman kept me close. His hand on my lower back, his body angled toward mine, his attention split between business discussions and checking that I was comfortable. You're doing wonderfully, he whispered during a lull in conversation. I know this isn't your world, but you fit here better than you think. I feel like an imposter. You're the most real person in this room. That's why they're all staring. They're trying to figure out what makes you special, what I see that they don't. And what do you see? His eyes held mine. Everything. Dinner was served in courses, each more elaborate than the last. Roman sat beside me, occasionally touching my hand or my shoulder, small gestures of connection that felt enormous in the formal atmosphere. During dessert, a man across the table, Gerald something, CEO of something else, turned his attention to me. So Maya, what do you do? The table quieted slightly. This was the question I'd been dreading. I'm a server at Vesper, I said clearly, refusing to be ashamed. A server. Gerald's tone made it clear what he thought of that. How quaint. And how did you and Roman meet? She served me, Roman said before I could answer, his voice holding a warning edge. And she was the most competent professional server I've encountered in years. Which is why I hired her. Hired her for what? That's none of your concern, Gerald. Roman's smile didn't reach his eyes. Now, shall we discuss the merger? Or would you like to continue interrogating my date? Gerald paled slightly. The merger, of course. Under the table, I squeezed Roman's hand in thanks. He squeezed back, then laced his fingers through mine. The rest of dinner passed without incident. When it finally ended, Roman escorted me out to where Victor waited with the car. I'm sorry, he said once we were alone in the back seat. Gerald was out of line. He wasn't wrong. I am just a server. You're not just anything. You're Maya Torres, and you're more impressive than anyone in that room. He turned to face me. Don't let them make you feel small. You're worth 10 of them. You barely know me. I know enough. I know you work 2 jobs to support a father who doesn't deserve your loyalty. I know you dream of culinary school, but put those dreams aside for someone else. I know you're brave enough to have dinner with me despite everything you know about me. That's not just anything, Maya. That's extraordinary. Tears pricked my eyes. Stop. Stop what? Stop making me want this, want you. Stop making it impossible to walk away. I don't want you to walk away. He reached for me, pulling me closer. I want you right here. Always. Roman, he kissed me. Not the chaste forehead kiss from earlier, but a real kiss. His lips on mine, demanding and gentle at the same time, stealing my breath and my sanity, his hand tangled in my hair, angling my head, deepening the kiss until I forgot where we were, forgot every reason this was a bad idea. When he finally pulled back, we were both breathing hard. "I've wanted to do that since the moment you walked into Vesper," he said, his voice rough. "That was a mistake? A complication? The best decision you've ever made?" His forehead rested against mine. Because for me, it was all three. "We can't do this. We already are." His thumb brushed my swollen lips. "Tell me you didn't feel that. Tell me you don't want more." I couldn't, because I did want more. Wanted it with a desperation that terrified me. "This is going to end badly," I whispered. "Probably. But God, Maya, what a beautiful disaster it will be." The kiss changed everything. Over the next week, Roman consumed my life in the best and worst ways possible. He texted me constantly. Good morning messages that made me smile, midday check-ins that made me feel seen, good night calls where we talked for hours about nothing and everything. He sent flowers to the restaurant daily. Different arrangements, always with notes that made Sarah sigh dramatically and the other servers whisper, "Thinking of you. Your smile is my favorite view. Ars can't wait to see you tonight." Because I saw him every night. Sometimes for dinner at exclusive restaurants where he reserved entire sections for privacy. Sometimes for walks through the city where he held my hand like it was the most natural thing in the world. Once, memorably, for pizza in my apartment where he sat on my second-hand couch and looked more at home than he had any right to. "This is nice," he'd said, looking around at my tiny studio with genuine appreciation. "Cozy. It's a shoebox. It's yours. That makes it better than my penthouse." He'd pulled me down beside him, wrapping an arm around my shoulders. "I like seeing where you live. How you live. Why? Because I'm trying to know every part of you. The public Maya who serves tables with a smile. The private Maya who eats cereal for dinner and watches cooking shows at midnight. The real Maya underneath all the masks. And if the real Maya is disappointing, impossible." He'd kissed my temple. "But I appreciate that you're still scared of letting me in completely. It means when you finally do, it'll mean something." Now, exactly 8 days after that first dinner, I stood in my apartment getting ready for what Roman had mysteriously called a surprise. The dress he'd sent this time was different, less formal than the others. A soft ivory cashmere sweater dress that felt like being wrapped in a cloud. My phone buzzed. "The car is downstairs. Bring a jacket. We're going somewhere special." Victor drove us out of the city, into the countryside as the sun began setting. I watched the urban landscape give way to rolling hills and autumn forests, curiosity building with every mile. "Where are we going?" Victor's eyes met mine in the rearview mirror. Mr. Petrov wanted it to be a surprise. 40 minutes later, we turned down a private road that led to a stunning property overlooking a lake. Not a mansion exactly, but a beautiful modern home with floor-to-ceiling windows that reflected the sunset. Roman waited on the steps, dressed casually in dark jeans and a charcoal sweater. When Victor opened my door, Roman's face lit up in a way that made my heart stutter. "You came. You're very persuasive." I took his offered hand. "What is this place?" "Mine. One of the few properties I actually live in occasionally when I need to escape the city." He guided me toward the house. "I wanted to bring you somewhere we could be completely alone. No restaurants, no crowds, no business associates judging whether you belong." Inside was even more beautiful than the exterior. Warm wood tones, comfortable furniture, art that actually looked lived with rather than collected. Through the windows, the lake reflected the dying sun in shades of gold and crimson. "Roman, this is home," he finished, "or as close as I get to one. I had the chef prepare dinner. Nothing fancy, just good food. And I thought we could talk. Really talk. No interruptions. We ate on the terrace overlooking the lake. Simple pasta, fresh bread, a salad that tasted like summer despite the autumn chill. And we talked. Roman told me about his childhood in Moscow, about the violence he'd witnessed, about his mother's desperate attempts to give him and his sisters normalcy in a world that had none, about the day his father brought him into the family business at 17, and how he'd had to choose between honor and survival. I told him about my mother's death, about holding her hand as cancer stole her away, about promising to take care of my father, and how that promise had slowly consumed my own life, about the guilt I felt for resenting him, for wanting my own future instead of being trapped in his debts. "You're allowed to want your own life," Roman said, reaching across the table to take my hand. "Loyalty to family is admirable, but not when it destroys you," says the man who took over his father's empire at 25. Exactly. I know what it costs to sacrifice yourself for family obligation, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone, especially you. His thumb traced patterns on my palm. "Maya, I meant what I said. The debt is gone. Your father is free. You don't owe him anything anymore. It's not that simple. It is. You just have to let it be." After dinner, we moved to the living room where a fire crackled in the stone fireplace. Roman poured us wine and we sat on the couch, close but not touching, the air between us charged with possibility. "I have a confession," he said after a long silence. "Should I be worried? Maybe." He turned to face me fully. "I didn't bring you here just to talk. I brought you here because I'm trying very hard to be a gentleman, and the city makes that impossible." A gentleman? In the city there are eyes everywhere. Expectations. People who would love to see me make a mistake, show weakness, give them ammunition. His hand found my face, cupping my cheek. "Here, there's no one, just us. And the truth is, Maya, I don't want to be a gentleman anymore. I want to be the man who gets to kiss you without worrying about who's watching, who gets to hold you without calculating how it will look, who gets to just feel." My breath caught. "Roman, I'm not asking for anything you're not ready to give, but I need you to understand. Every moment I spend with you, every conversation, every touch, it's getting harder to maintain control. You're under my skin in a way no one has ever been. Is that a bad thing? It's terrifying, because if you leave, if you decide this is too much, it will break something in me I didn't know could still break." I should have been scared by the intensity in his voice. Instead, I felt powerful. This man, who commanded empires and made grown men fear him, was vulnerable before me. "I'm not leaving," I whispered. "Promise me." His forehead touched mine. "Promise me you won't run when things get complicated." "Because they will, Maya. My life is messy and dangerous and full of things I can't protect you from. But I'll try. God, I'll try so hard to keep you safe. I promise. For now, I promise." He kissed me then, and it was different from the kiss in the car. Slower, deeper, more deliberate. Like he was trying to memorize me, to imprint himself on my soul the way he'd already claimed my heart. When he pulled back, his eyes were dark with desire. "Stay tonight." I'm not asking for, just stay. Sleep here? Let me wake up with you. Let me have one morning where you're the first thing I see." Okay. "Yes, I'll stay." The relief on his face was profound. He showed me to a guest room, respecting my space even as I saw the longing in his eyes, and said goodnight with a kiss that promised more. I lay in the comfortable bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the quiet of the countryside. This was really happening. I was falling for Roman Petrov, completely, irrevocably falling. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. "Roman, of course. I know you're just down the hall, but I miss you already. You saw me 10 minutes ago. 10 minutes too long. Sweet dreams, Maya. Thank you for staying. Thank you for asking." I was drifting off when my phone rang. Not Roman's number. "My father? Dad? It's late. Maya, I'm sorry." "I'm so sorry." His voice was slurred, panicked. I fucked up so bad. Ice flooded my veins. "What did you do?" I thought. Dmitri said the debt was cleared, but there was this game, and I was winning. And I thought I could... "Maya, I owe money again." "A lot of money. How much?" But I already knew. Already felt the familiar weight of his bad decisions crushing me. 40,000. To Alexei Volkov, Dmitri's cousin. He says if I don't pay by Monday... Monday? That's 2 days. I know. Maya, I'm sorry. I can't go to Dmitri, he'll tell Roman Petrov and I, please. Is there any way you can help? I wanted to scream. Wanted to throw the phone. Wanted to tell him that I was done, that he'd promised. That I couldn't keep saving him from himself. Instead, I heard myself say, I'll figure something out. After I hung up, I sat in the dark, my chest tight with anger and despair. 2 days, $40,000. Everything Roman had fixed. everything he'd done to free me, and my father had thrown it away for one more game. I couldn't ask Roman for more money, couldn't keep being the girl who needed saving, couldn't prove everyone at that business dinner right, that I was just using him, that I didn't belong in his world. But I also couldn't let my father get hurt. Alexei Volkov had a reputation worse than Dmitri's. Men who didn't pay Alexei ended up in hospitals. Or worse, a soft knock on the door. Roman's voice. Maya, I heard you on the phone. Is everything all right? I should have lied. Should have said everything was fine. Instead, I opened the door to find him standing there in sleep pants and a t-shirt, concern etched on his face. What's wrong? The tears came before I could stop them. My father, he gambled again, owes $40,000 to Alexei Volkov. 2 days to pay or... Roman's expression went from concern to cold in an instant. Alexei, I'm sorry. I know you just fixed everything, and I don't expect you to... Stop. He pulled me into his arms. This isn't your fault. Your father made his choice. But Maya, Alexei is different from Dmitri. He's violent, unstable. If your father can't pay... He stopped, jaw clenching. I know. That's why I have to help him. No, you don't. He did this to himself. He's still my father. And you're still drowning trying to save him. Roman gripped my shoulders, his eyes intense. Listen to me. I'll handle Alexei. I'll make this go away. But Maya, this has to be the last time. Your father needs to understand there are consequences. Otherwise, he'll keep doing this. I can't ask you to... You're not asking. I'm offering, because this is what I do for the people I care about. I protect them, even from themselves. He touched my face gently. But you need to decide. Do you want me to fix this? Or do you want to let your father face what he's done? I closed my eyes, torn between loyalty and self-preservation. Fix it, please. Just this once more. Okay, I'll take care of it tomorrow. He kissed my forehead. Try to sleep. I've got you. But sleep didn't come. Because as I lay there, I realized the truth. I wasn't just falling for Roman Petrov. I was completely, utterly dependent on him, and that terrified me more than anything else. I woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows and the smell of coffee. For a disoriented moment, I forgot where I was. Then memory returned. Roman's lake house, my father's phone call, the weight of dependency settling over me like a blanket I couldn't shake off. I found Roman on the terrace. 2 coffee mugs on the table, his phone pressed to his ear as he spoke rapid Russian. When he saw me, his expression softened immediately, and he ended the call. Good morning, beautiful. How did you sleep? Not well. I took the offered coffee, grateful for something to do with my hands. Were you talking about my father? Among other things. He gestured for me to sit. Alexei has agreed to forgive the debt. Your father is safe. Relief flooded through me, followed immediately by guilt. What did it cost you? Nothing I wasn't willing to pay. But something in his tone made me look closer. There was tension around his eyes, a tightness in his jaw. Roman, what did you do? I gave Alexei something he wanted more than $40,000. A business opportunity he's been asking for. It's handled, Maya. That's all you need to know. No, it's not. If you made some kind of deal because of me, I made a deal because your father put himself in danger, and that puts you in danger by extension. He reached across the table, taking my hand. I won't let anything happen to you. Not because of gambling debts or dangerous men or anything else. This can't keep happening. I can't keep being the reason you make compromises. You're not a compromise. You're the reason I want to be better than what I am. His thumb traced circles on my palm. But Maya, your father needs help. Real help, not money. Professional intervention. I know. I've tried. Try harder. Because next time, I might not be able to fix it. Alexei is unpredictable. If your father goes to him again... He stopped, jaw clenching. Just talk to your father. Set boundaries, for both your sakes. We drove back to the city in heavy silence. Roman kept glancing at me, clearly wanting to say something but holding back. Finally, as we pulled up to my building, he spoke. Have dinner with me tonight. Please, I need to know we're okay. We're okay. I need to process this. Process it over dinner. 7 o'clock. I'll pick you up myself this time. His hand cupped my face. Don't shut me out, Maya. That's the one thing I can't handle. I kissed him softly. 7 o'clock. I promise. But the day brought complications I hadn't anticipated. At noon, as I was getting ready for my shift at Vesper, there was a knock at my door. When I opened it, a woman stood there, elegant, mid-50s, expensive coat, and perfectly styled blonde hair. Maya Torres? Yes? I'm Natasha Petrova, Roman's mother. Her accent was thick, her smile cold. May I come in? My stomach dropped. Of course. She swept into my tiny apartment, her gaze taking in every detail with obvious judgment. When she turned to face me, her expression was carefully neutral. You're wondering why I'm here. The thought crossed my mind. My son has been very distracted lately, missing business meetings, making unusual decisions. When I asked why, he said your name. She moved closer, so I wanted to see for myself what kind of woman could have such an effect on Roman Petrov. I'm not trying to have an effect on anyone. No? Then what are you doing? Because from where I stand, it looks like you're using my son's feelings to extract money and favors. The accusation stung because part of me feared it was true. I didn't ask for any of this. But you accepted it. The money, the gifts, the help with your father's debts. She pulled out her phone, showing me a bank statement. $110,000 in the past 2 weeks. That's what my son has spent on you and your problems. I felt sick. I didn't know it was that much. Of course you didn't. Because you didn't ask. You just took. Her expression hardened. I've seen women like you before. Pretty young, desperate. They attach themselves to powerful men and bleed them dry. I won't let you do that to Roman. I love him. The words came out before I could stop them. Do you? Or do you love what he can give you? She moved to the door. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to end this relationship. Tonight. You'll tell Roman you can't see him anymore. In return, I'll make sure your father's remaining debts are cleared, and I'll set up a trust fund for you. $200,000. Enough to start over. Go to culinary school. Build the life you want. You're trying to buy me off. I'm offering you a future that doesn't involve destroying my son. Her voice softened slightly. Maya, I'm not a monster. I understand you have feelings for him, but Roman's world is dangerous. The deal he made with Alexei? It's already causing problems. Enemies are circling, sensing weakness. If you really love him, you'll protect him by walking away. What kind of problems? The kind that get people killed. Roman gave Alexei access to one of our shipping routes. That route was promised to someone else. Viktor Kozlov. And Viktor is not someone who forgives broken promises. My blood ran cold. Roman didn't tell me that. Because he's trying to protect you. But protection only works if you're smart enough to accept it. She opened the door. Think about my offer. $200,000 and a clean break. Or stay and watch him get hurt because of you. She was gone before I could respond, leaving me alone with the weight of her words. I spent the afternoon in a daze, going through the motions of my shift at Vesper, without really being present. Sarah asked what was wrong, but I couldn't explain. How could I tell her that Roman's mother had basically accused me of being a gold digger? That Roman might be in danger because of my father's gambling problem? At 6:30, I was back home, staring at my closet, trying to decide what to wear for dinner. My phone buzzed. Can't wait to see you. I've been thinking about you all day. R.I. stared at the message, torn between longing and fear. Roman made me feel cherished, protected, seen in ways I'd never experienced. But his mother was right. I was costing him. Money, business deals, maybe even his safety. Another message. I know today was hard, but we'll get through it together. We always do, did we, though? Or was I just pulling him down with me? At exactly 7, there was a knock. Not Viktor this time, but Roman himself, holding a single white rose and wearing that smile that made my heart skip. Hi. He stepped inside, pulling me into his arms. God, I missed you. You saw me this morning. Hours ago. That's too long. He kissed me softly. You look beautiful. I'm not even dressed yet for dinner. Then we'll stay in. Order takeout. I don't care where we are as long as I'm with you. His hand cupped my face. Maya, what's wrong? You seem distant. Your mother came to see me today? His expression went carefully blank. What did she say? That I'm using you. That I'm costing you money and making you weak. That you're in danger because of the deal you made with Alexei. I pulled back slightly. Roman, is Viktor Kozlov going to come after you? He was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he sighed. Possibly. The shipping route I gave Alexei was supposed to go to Viktor, He's not happy about it, because of me, because of my father, because I made a choice. That's on me, not you. But I'm the reason you had to make that choice. My voice rose. Roman, your mother offered me $200,000 to walk away, to end this before I destroy you. Something flickered in his eyes. Hurt, anger, something darker. And are you considering it? I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is anymore. Tears burned my eyes. I love you, but loving you is putting you in danger. How is that fair? Life isn't fair. Love isn't fair. But it's real. He gripped my shoulders. Maya, listen to me. I've been in danger my entire adult life. That's the price of the empire my father built. Viktor Kozlov is just one more threat in a long line of threats. He's not your fault, but no buts. You don't get to take responsibility for my choices. I chose to help your father. I chose to make that deal with Alexei. I chose you. All of it was my decision. What if I'm not worth it? I whispered. What if your mother is right and I'm just dragging you down? Then let me drown. His voice was fierce. Let me drown loving you rather than survive alone. Because that's what my life was before you. Survival, not living. Just existing in a world of violence and power and emptiness. You made me remember what hope feels like. What joy feels like. I'm not giving that up. Roman, his phone rang. He ignored it. It rang again, insistent. Answer it, I said quietly. He did, his expression darkening as he listened. When? A pause. Where is he now? Another pause. I'm on my way. He hung up, and I saw something in his face I'd never seen before. Real fear. What happened? Viktor Kozlov just made his move. He's taken one of my shipments hostage, and he's demanding a meeting. Tonight. He pulled me close. I have to go handle this. Let me come with you. Absolutely not. Viktor is dangerous, unpredictable. I won't put you in his crosshairs. But what if something happens to you? It won't. I've handled men like Viktor before. But his tone lacked conviction. Maya, stay here. Lock the door. Don't open it for anyone except me. I'll be back as soon as I can. Roman, please. He kissed me hard, desperately, like he was trying to memorize the feeling. I love you. Remember that. Whatever happens. Then he was gone, leaving me alone with mounting fear and the terrible certainty that everything was about to fall apart. I waited an hour. 2. My phone stayed silent. Finally, at 10 o'clock, it rang. Not Roman. An unknown number. Hello? Miss Torres. A man's voice accented, cold. This is Viktor Kozlov. I believe you know why I'm calling. My blood turned to ice. Where's Roman? Safe for now. But that could change very quickly depending on your cooperation. What do you want? You, actually. Roman seems quite attached to you, which makes you valuable. I could hear the smile in his voice. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to come to the address I text you, alone. If you bring anyone, if you call the police, Roman Petrov dies. Understand? Yes. Good, you have 30 minutes. Don't be late. The line went dead. A moment later, a text came through with an address in the warehouse district. This was insane. I should call the police. Call Viktor the driver. Call someone. But Viktor had Roman. And he'd kill him if I didn't comply. I grabbed my jacket and headed for the door, my heart hammering with terror and determination. Roman had saved me more times than I could count. Now it was my turn to save him. The warehouse district was deserted at this hour, abandoned buildings casting long shadows under flickering streetlights. I paid the cab driver with shaking hands and watched him drive away, suddenly very aware of how alone I was. The address Viktor had sent led to a massive industrial building near the waterfront. The main door was slightly ajar, light spilling from inside. This was a trap. I knew it was a trap. I walked in anyway. The interior was a vast open space, shipping containers stacked along the walls, overhead lights creating pools of brightness in the darkness. And there, in the center, tied to a chair with blood on his face, was Roman. Maya, no. His voice was hoarse, desperate. Get out of here! How touching. Viktor Kozlov emerged from behind a container. He was shorter than I expected, stocky, with a shaved head and cold gray eyes. The damsel comes to save her prince. Very romantic. Let him go. You wanted me. Here I am. Indeed. Victor circled me slowly, assessing. I have to admit, I didn't think you'd actually come. Most people value their own lives too highly, but love makes us do stupid things, doesn't it? Victor, this is between us. Roman's voice held a warning edge despite his position. Let her go. Take what you want from me. What I want from you, I've already taken. Your pride, your reputation. Everyone will know that Viktor Kozlov brought Roman Petrov to his knees. He grabbed my arm, pulling me closer to Roman. But killing you both sends an even stronger message. You kill us, and my organization will hunt you down, Roman said. Every resource, every connection. You'll be dead within a week, perhaps. But it will be worth it to watch you suffer first. Victor pulled out a gun, pressing it to my temple. Tell me, Roman, what's it like to be helpless? To know you can't save her? Roman's eyes met mine, and I saw everything in that gaze. Love, fear, rage, desperation. Maya, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I dragged you into this. Don't apologize. I chose this. I chose you. My voice was surprisingly steady, and I'd choose you again. How sweet, Victor sneered. But ultimately pointless. The shot was deafening in the enclosed space. But it wasn't Victor's gun that fired. Victor staggered, clutching his shoulder, his weapon clattering to the concrete floor. Behind him, Roman's mother stood with a small pistol, her expression cold and deadly. Nobody threatens my son, Natasha said calmly. Nobody. More shots rang out as Victor's men emerged from the shadows, but they were met by Roman's security team pouring through the side entrance. The warehouse erupted into chaos, gunfire, shouting, bodies hitting the ground. I dove for Roman, working frantically at his restraints. Are you okay? Your face, and I'm fine. Maya, get down! Something hot grazed my shoulder, spinning me around. Pain exploded through my arm, and I realized with distant shock that I'd been shot. Maya. Roman broke free of the last restraint, catching me as I stumbled. No, stay with me. It's not that bad, I managed, though blood was soaking through my jacket. Just graze me. You're shot. You're fucking shot because of me. His voice cracked. I'm alive. We're both alive. That's what matters. I cupped his bloodied face. I love you. Even if your mother hates me. Even if this is insane. I love you. My mother doesn't hate you. Natasha appeared beside us, her gun still in hand, looking more like a mafia queen than a concerned mother. She tested you, and you passed. Tested me? The pain was making everything fuzzy. I needed to know if you were with my son for his money or for him. If you'd take my offer and run, or if you'd fight for him. She knelt down, examining my wound with practiced efficiency. You fought. You came here alone to save him, knowing you'd probably die. That's not something a gold digger does. You set this up. Roman's voice was dangerous. No, I didn't set up Victor's attack. That was real. But I made sure we had people watching. Made sure Maya's cab was followed. Made sure we could get here in time. She met her son's eyes. You love her. Truly love her. I needed to be certain she felt the same. By nearly getting her killed? By seeing what she'd sacrifice for you? Natasha's expression softened slightly. Welcome to the family, Maya Torres. You're braver than I gave you credit for. The next hours were a blur of paramedics, police statements, and finally, a private hospital room where a doctor stitched my shoulder while Roman paced like a caged animal. Stop moving, I told him once we were alone. You're making me nervous. You were shot. Because of me. Because I couldn't protect you. You did protect me. Your mother protected me. Your team protected both of us. I patted the bed beside me. Come here. He sat carefully like I might break. His hand found mine, gripping it tightly. When Victor put that gun to your head, I thought... His voice broke. I thought I'd lost you. But you didn't. I'm right here. Stubborn and shot, but here. This is my life, Maya. Danger, violence, always looking over my shoulder. I can't ask you to accept that. You're not asking. I'm choosing. I turned to face him fully, ignoring the pain in my shoulder. Roman, I'm not naive. I know what being with you means, but I also know what being without you would feel like. And that's worse than any threat. You could have died tonight. So could you. That's the point. Life is dangerous whether you're with a mafia boss or working at a restaurant. At least with you, I feel alive. I feel seen. I feel loved in a way I never have before. You are loved. Completely and possibly loved. His forehead touched mine. But Maya, things need to change. My mother was right about one thing. I've been making decisions that put us both at risk. The gray areas of my business, the dangerous connections. I need to cut ties with that world. Can you do that? I have to, because the alternative is watching you get hurt again, and I can't survive that. His lips brushed mine softly. I'm going legitimate, really legitimate. It'll take time, and there will be people who resist, but I'm done living in the shadows. I want a life with you, a real life, not stolen moments between crises. What does that life look like? Whatever we want it to be. I'll keep the legitimate businesses, the real estate, the restaurants, sell off or transfer everything else. It might take a year, maybe 2, but at the end of it, I'll just be a businessman. Boring. Safe. Yours. You could never be boring. He smiled, the expression transforming his battered face. Maybe not, but I can be safe. Can be someone you don't have to worry about every time I leave the house. And your mother? Your organization? My mother will support this. She's been pushing me toward legitimacy for years. As for the organization, there are people who can take over the parts I'm leaving behind. People who want that life. He kissed my hand. I want a different life. With you. 3 months later, I stood in the kitchen of my new restaurant, our restaurant, putting final touches on the evening's menu. The space was exactly what I'd dreamed of. Intimate, warm, focused on food rather than pretension. We'd opened 2 weeks ago, and reservations were already booked solid for the next 3 months. Roman appeared in the kitchen doorway, looking unfairly handsome in dark jeans and a gray sweater. No suits anymore. He'd meant it about leaving that world behind. How's it going, chef? Don't call me that. It sounds weird. But I smiled, moving into his arms. It's going well. Table 7 wants to compliment the risotto personally. They can compliment the chef. You earned those compliments. He kissed my forehead. I'm proud of you. This place is incredible. Our place. You made this possible. You made it happen. I just provided capital. His arms tightened around me. Speaking of which, I talked to my accountant today. The last of the transfers are complete. I'm officially just a boring real estate developer and restaurant investor. How does it feel? Terrifying. Liberating. Right. He pulled back slightly. Maya, there's something I want to ask you. We're in the middle of dinner service. I don't care. He reached into his pocket, pulling out a small velvet box. I've been carrying this for a month, waiting for the perfect moment. But I realized something. With you, every moment is perfect. My breath caught as he opened the box, revealing a stunning ring, a single diamond. Elegant and simple and perfect. Maya Torres, you walked into my life serving vodka and changed everything. You made me want to be better. You made me brave enough to leave behind everything I knew for a chance at something real. You got shot protecting me, for God's sake. I don't deserve you, but I'm selfish enough to ask anyway. He dropped to one knee right there in my restaurant kitchen. Dinner service in full swing around us. Will you marry me? Tears blurred my vision. Yes. Yes. Of course, yes. He slid the ring onto my finger, then stood, pulling me into a kiss that made the kitchen staff whistle and applaud. When we broke apart, his eyes were suspiciously bright. Thank you, he whispered, for taking a chance on me, for seeing past the reputation to the man underneath, for loving me enough to fight for us. Thank you for a $50,000 tip and a note that said dinner wasn't negotiable. I laughed through my tears. Best bad decision I ever made. The tip that changed everything. No, you changed everything. The tip was just the excuse. That evening, after service ended and the restaurant closed, Roman and I sat at table 1, the table where this all began at Vesper, sharing a bottle of wine and dreaming about our future. What do you want? He asked, for our life together. What does it look like? This, us, the restaurant. Maybe a house someday outside the city. Kids, eventually, I paused. A boring, normal, beautiful life. With occasional excitement? With you, there will always be excitement. But the good kind. The choosing between vacation, destinations kind. Not the running from armed criminals kind. I can work with that. He raised his glass. To boring lives and beautiful women who make them worth living. to dangerous men who become safe havens. I clinked my glass against his. And to $50,000 tips that lead to forever. We drank, and in the quiet of the empty restaurant, I felt something I hadn't felt in years: peace, security, the certainty that whatever came next, we'd face it together. My phone buzzed. My father, who was now 3 months sober and attending daily GA meetings, thanks to the treatment program Roman had arranged. Proud of you, sweetheart. The restaurant looks beautiful. Love you. Love you too, Dad. Roman read the message over my shoulder. He's doing well. Thanks to you. The treatment center, the therapist, all of it. Thanks to you for not giving up on him, for believing he could change. He kissed my temple. We're all works in progress, Maya. Some of us just need help to become who we're meant to be. And who are you meant to be? Yours. That's all I need to be. Everything else is just details. 6 months later, we married in a small ceremony at the lake house. Just family and close friends. Natasha cried, which shocked everyone. My father walked me down the aisle, sober and proud, and Roman, standing at the makeshift altar with tears in his eyes, looked at me like I was the only person in the world. I promise, he said during his vows, to protect you, cherish you, and never leave another $50,000 tip for anyone but you. The crowd laughed. I cried. And when he kissed me as his wife, I knew with absolute certainty that this dangerous man, this reformed criminal, this person who'd upended my entire life with one extravagant gesture, was exactly where I was meant to be. Sometimes love comes from unexpected places. Sometimes it takes the form of a tip that's too large, a note that's too demanding, a man who's too dangerous. But sometimes, that unexpected love is exactly what saves you. Not from financial ruin or dangerous situations, though Roman had certainly done that, but from a life half-lived. From settling. From never knowing what it feels like to be loved completely, possessively, eternally by someone who sees all of you and chooses you anyway. As we drove away from our wedding reception, Roman's hand in mine, our future stretching bright before us, I thought about that night at Vesper. The night a stranger sat at my table and changed my life with a piece of paper and a command. Dinner tomorrow, 8 p.m. This is not a request. It had seemed like a threat then, an invasion, a dangerous game I was foolish to play. Now I knew the truth. It was an invitation to the rest of my life, and I wouldn't change a single moment of it.